Live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello everyone, this is Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for joining us here from we are live streaming from the Fox 12 Oregon newsroom. So we appreciate you being a part of this show. And this hour, we're going to be covering a lot of different subjects, but we're starting off here today talking about the announcement from the FAA that 40 quote, high volume markets would have up to 10% of their flights reduced. This is an announcement that came out from them. This is something that is going to be happening tomorrow on Friday, depending on when you're watching this, according to them. And this is associated with the government shutdown that is going on. So in addition to all of the other things that are already happening, this is on top of that. And so we're going to be covering exactly, what this could mean, how this is going to affect you. But we're going to go live now to PDX, where Spencer Schacht has been out there this morning. Normally a busy airport. We're not even to Thanksgiving yet. And Spencer is out there, covering what's been going on. And Spencer, good to have you in here to talk to you. And just to start off, how has it been for you out there so far today, going out to take a look at the airport?
Yeah, Greg, it's been pretty steadily busy this morning. Folks are coming and going. They are aware, a lot of the folks that we've talked to so far are aware of the potential cuts to flights after the FAA's announcement this morning, especially that 40 airports were named in those 10% reductions. And so out of the 40 airports across the country that will be seeing that 10% reduction in flights eventually, PDX was one of them. So talking to folks, there is some concern of travelers, and talking to some business owners, they say they're closing early because there aren't just those flights coming in and out of the Portland airport to keep up with business. I talked to one business owner who owns a Jamba Juice over in the econ course, and he said he's closing at 7 because there's not those later flights, and he's not expecting any more flights to be coming in because of this government shutdown.
Wow, so business is already adjusting because of some of that and just because of the flights. I mean, and this 10% reduction, could really have a lot that could really affect some things on there. Because I was looking at here just at some of the numbers that experts are saying, up to 1,800 flights nationally, upwards to 268,000 seats combined, which could certainly have a big effect right there. You heard from the businesses. How about passengers? Anybody that's maybe going on a flight that has to take a flight back in a couple of days?
Sorry, some technical difficulties there, Greg. Couldn't hear you, but
gotcha.
Sorry about that. But what we're thinking is about a 4,000 flights per day decrease is what the FAA is projecting. And so 4,000 flights across 40 different airports, that is a big impact. Looking at the flight board today, we have a couple of delays, but nothing really impacting flights coming in and out as of today. But looking at flypdx.com, we already see 2 flights have been canceled. United Airlines canceled their 402 flight to Denver tomorrow, and Delta has canceled their 507 flight to Los Angeles tomorrow. So those are the first 2 flights that we have seen being canceled because of this decrease. And according to a person who works closely with the FAA, they say the plan is to start with a 4% decrease tomorrow and increase by 1% every day until they get up to that 10% or until the government reopens.
Wow. Yeah, and that's going to affect so many people. And obviously with this just kind of going into effect, I'm sure there's a lot of concern for everybody who is going to be flying during that time, specifically starting tomorrow with those reductions. And from what I understand, and I know you're out there, getting the reporting done, whatever you can on this, but there isn't any real heads up notice yet on which flights are going to be canceled. Is that right? Okay, it sounds like Spencer may have some issues, some audio issues, probably from our end.
Sorry, yeah, the call kept dropping there, but what was oh, there we go again.
Okay, that's okay. Spencer, I'm going to go ahead and let you go because we'll see if we can get that fixed and get back to you. But thank you, Spencer. I'll go ahead and move on from here. Actually, I'll send him a text just to let him know. Here's what we'll do. We're talking to Spencer, about that and just from the passenger standpoint on a lot of those things. I also spoke to a representative from the TSA Union. So this isn't the TSA, this is the union representing TSA employees about the effects that this government shutdown has had on them Specifically, these are, you go on a flight, obviously you interact with the TSA, but this is the effect that the shutdown has had on them, and now this additional flight restrictions on how that could also change things for them. And let's go ahead and run this if we can. We spoke to Cameron earlier, and let's hear what he has to say from that TSA standpoint.
Yeah, so I am the legislative political coordinator for the local AFGE 1127, which is the American Federation of Government Employees, and we represent TSA officers in the state of Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Utah, Colorado, and Wyoming. And so what I've been doing over the course of the last month is me and my coworkers, our other fellow union representatives, we've been reaching out to food banks. We've been making these connections that can help us help our officers because, we haven't had a full paycheck since the last week of, 2 weeks into September. So that was the last time we got a full paycheck. So because of that, it's been pretty stressful on us, we've been able to get donations from businesses, from people all across our cities and states, which is great. Just at my airport yesterday, we had a food drive where we got, a lot of money in gift cards, gas cards, and stuff like that. And so that's been really helpful because, free food is nice, but, at the end of the day, it's getting harder and harder for people to get to their airports. Especially in Oregon, people have to drive really far, they have long commutes and, with gas just going higher and higher, this has happened before where people have already been running out of gas to get to work.
Well, I mean, since September, that second week in September, that's the last time that anybody received a paycheck.
A full paycheck, yes. We received a half paycheck the week the shutdown started.
Wow. So, and this is something since, the TSA employees are considered essential employees, right? So they have to be there.
Yeah. So the TSA officers that you see day to day when you're flying through the checkpoint, the guys in the blue shirts, those are all exempted officers. And so they all have to come to work no matter what, and a lot of people love our jobs. We like doing what we're doing. We believe in the mission, which is to protect the nation's transportation system to ensure freedom of movement for people and commerce. We believe in that mission and we're doing our side of the deal. And so Congress needs to step up and do their side of the deal, which is pay us.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other people that are furloughed that are support staff in TSA, and those are all vital positions too, who can't help and support us during these times.
Yeah. So, everybody that you encounter there, that's somebody who has not been paid in that amount of time, but is there doing their job and working. What does that do to you, just to your, how is that affecting you just, and these employees just mentally, let alone the physical needs of funds and all of that, just to live your life like a normal person.
Right.
How's that affecting you on the mental side of things?
It's a roller coaster because you start off in the day, in the morning, and you're like, okay, how many people called off because of whatever reason? And then you find out, okay, it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then you find out you have a free lunch provided by a local restaurant and stuff like that. And that feels pretty awesome. And then you get some compliments from passengers and, say, hey, we support you guys. Thank you for what you're doing and all that stuff. And so that feels great. But then you, on your lunch break, you have to look at the notifications that your credit card bills due, or, your power bill is getting, added fees to it and stuff like that. And so that's when it comes to that roller coaster of like, it feels great, like in the moment, like people really are showing support, but then, people are having these hard conversations with their spouses about like, how are we going to pay our electric bill or HOA fees, or, how we're going to feed our kids. And so it's hard. It's definitely hard. And it's getting harder by the day.
And just adding those stresses onto everything else. And, that's a job that I'm sure can be pretty stressful to a certain point as well, because of what it is that you're doing there with the security on top of everything else. So to that extent, to talk about that, do you think that this has had any kind of an effect on the workplace as far as enough employees to do some of these jobs that people are calling out, or to really, maintain the level that that you want when it comes to TSA security?
Well, what I would say, the TSA is a highly technical job when it comes to, patting people down and going through bags and x-ray abilities and stuff like that. And you need to be really focused on that mission when you're doing it. And our officers keep telling us time and time again that it's harder to be focused on just on doing that when they have to worry about their bills and how they're going to pay things or how they're going to feed their kids and stuff like that.
Yeah, or pay for gas.
Or pay for gas, Yeah, and we're getting pushback from TSA management across the country too, where during the last shutdown, it was really easy for people to donate to the officers and stuff like that. Whereas now they're getting pushback, so much so that our union representative in Oregon had to actually kind of just bypass the TSA and go straight to the Portland airport to get food boxes set up. Because people do want to donate and support us, and TSA management across the country has been actually turning things down.
So they've been turning down donated food that's meant to go to the TSA union employees?
Food, sometimes gas cards, sometimes if a card is more than $25, they're saying they're not going to accept it and stuff like that. So, yeah,
is there a reason that they're saying for that?
Some sort of ethics rule, but it's hard because the last time that didn't happen, and this time they're really pushing that. So that's what's so great about the union is that we can get donations and then we can help people out, and so that's what our officer or our union representative is doing currently right now. She got donations and now she's passing them out at the airport today.
Gotcha. So going to the union instead of going to the TSA itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's so many different things I would like to ask you here just about that. So to go down that road just a little bit more, you mentioned some of the food donations that are going to be going on today, or the thing that's happening. Can you tell us what's going on there at the Portland airport today?
Yeah. So we were able to get donations from some local businesses and food pantries and things like that, and they made boxes that come with just basic supplies. And so our union representative is going in there on her day off, passing those out to people at work. So
wow, to get that out there. For these additional restrictions or flight restrictions that are going to be going on, as far as the Portland airport is one of the ones that was listed as far as the 40 airports where there could be up to a 10% reduction in flights. How will that affect you and the TSA employees for your job if something like that does occur?
Yeah, how that's going to affect the officers that I represent is it's going to make it a lot harder for your day because, every day they kind of get a planned schedule of what it's going to look like. And if there's just delays on delays on delays, it kind of elongates their day. It makes it so the predictive measures aren't as accurate. And so then maybe the amount of people that they had staffed was good for what they were planning, but now because of these delays, they've changed things. And so now it might be the end of the day where they don't have as many people scheduled, but now there's twice as many flights because they all got pushed back to later in the day.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it's definitely going to be more challenging for our officers. It's going to be more challenging for passengers. It's hard to say, hey, just be patient, but it's going to be Thanksgiving in a couple of weeks, and it's going to be hard to say, hey, be patient when people are going to maybe miss their flights. We've all seen Planes, Trains, or Automobiles. If you haven't, it's a great movie, but yeah, that could happen.
Yeah. I could quote some lines from that, but I won't do that for this one. Yeah, I mean, so that makes perfect sense. If you're planning out the day based on predictive, analytics of knowing, hey, this is about when we're going to have a lot of flights, and then you don't have those employees there to handle that. So when you're talking about, longer lines, I guess from the passenger perspective, and interacting with the TSA, what is the best way for passengers to approach this and to interact with the TSA officers there who are doing their jobs as well, also in a very stressful situation where really nobody wants to be there dealing with flight delays, but this is where we're at. So what's the best way for them to handle that?
Yeah, I would say the best thing to do is just be patient and smile and say thanks for what you're doing. Um, don't get frustrated when the line is longer than it's supposed to be. And also don't be frustrated if you try to hand someone a gift card and they don't accept it, because they won't accept gift cards or anything while they're on the checkpoint. However, at the Portland airport, there are boxes that are set up at the arrival area. And so if people are flying out, they should absolutely bring some stuff in, throw a gift card, $25 gas card in there, or some food, some non-perishable foods. I think that would go a long way.
And these are going to be boxes that'll be set up around the airport?
Yeah, they're going to be boxes that are set up on the arrival side, on that level, and they're going to be plainly marked and everything like that. So you can just, whatever you bring, just drop it in there. You don't even need to be flying out. You can just come up and drop it off and then leave, you know.
And that's going directly to those government employees, yeah, who aren't getting their paychecks.
Yeah, it'll go to government employees that are affected by the shutdown.
Gotcha. Anything else that you think is important just for people to know about this, you know, coming from your perspective, but people who are going to be taking flights here over the next, well, however long this lasts from now till whenever, that they should know? That you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think people should know that the longer this goes on, the less guarantees we're going to have regarding flight times, flight safety, and all sorts of different things like that. So be prepared, be ready for anything, and just know that these officers, they're your neighbors, they're your friends, they're your family members, and they're going through a hard time right now where they can't afford rent, you know, daycare and food. So that's just what I want to message across.
You mentioned safety risk. Is there any added safety risk that you think that people should be concerned with right now?
I mean, I don't think there's anything to be concerned about, but like I said earlier, you know, when people are having to focus more on how they're going to pay their bills, it obviously takes away some of their mental capacity for what they're doing at work, you know. And so if your job is to look at an x-ray and find threats, but your phone is blowing up in your pocket because the credit card company's calling you, I mean, people can just assume what that.
Yeah, so definitely understandable for anybody who's going through something like that and how that would affect your job and your position. But good to hear there from the TSA Union, and so we appreciate him joining us just to give that perspective on how things are working there at the airport. When it comes to this, the flight reduction, we'll let you know more as soon as we know more. You know, that could be more here throughout the day, and if we do find out something, we'll be right here on Fox 12 Now. If you're watching us live, thanks for doing so. If you're watching after the fact, that's great as well. Don't forget to download the Fox 12 Oregon app. We're going to continue on here. If you are watching on our YouTube stream, I recommend downloading those apps, but you will see this video end if you're watching on the apps. We're going to continue on here, and we will be back in just a few minutes. We're going to be switching gears to talk about the trial that went on last week regarding the potential deployment of National Guard troops to the city of Portland. There's a decision that we're waiting on for that. Could happen anytime between now and Friday at 5 p.m. So we're going to recap what we know so far, what we can possibly expect with these outcomes, and what that means. That's coming up next. But for right now, we'll take a quick break. We'll talk to you here in just a few. I'm Greg Nibbler. This is Fox 12 Now.